thanks so much for joining us on Leading in the Moment. I'm Kristen Keogh, your host today, and we are joined by Marcia Mintz. She is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley. Marcia, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me today.
So this is so important what you're doing, because we have so many people who are still going out into the workforce every single day, and they are essential, to say the least. We are counting on them, but many of them have children who need to be cared for, and you and your organization have really stepped up at this time to make sure that while schools are closed, these children have a place to go, they're getting educated, they're being entertained, and they have food to eat. So thank you for everything that you're doing for these children. And tell me a little bit about that need right now as these essential workers continue putting themselves out there every single day, and their kids may be confused, they may be scared, and they really need a place to go.
Yeah, so thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. You know, when COVID hit our community, we had a very split second to make a decision of what can we do to support our community. And our mission statement says that we're there to serve the kids who need us most. And when we thought about who needs us most right now, it is really the children of our healthcare employees and our essential workers. We're counting on those folks to be at the workplace, to be at the hospital, your respiratory therapist, you know, your admin, the person stocking your Fry's food shelf, or making sure you have food, or pharmacy and utilities, city workers. But where should their kids be during this time now that school is closed? So we immediately shifted our operations and decided to focus on providing that kind of support, because we had the facilities and we had the staff in place and the structure, because that is what we try to do year round, but now we're really concentrating it on essential workers.
What is it like right now? Because, you know, I've stopped by Boys and Girls Club of Arizona and the Valley, different spots that you guys have around Arizona here and there for different stories. And I just see these kids really coming to life. And typically it's been a sort of after school environment, and they just always seem so happy and just really in a good state of mind in your facilities. So are they still upbeat right now? I mean, what's it like to be a kid during the coronavirus pandemic?
That's a great question. And, you know, these kids are pretty extraordinary, I have to say. You know, their parents are on the front line, so they know that. So I think there's a different level of stress that some of these kids have. And, you know, we talk about trauma-informed care. Like, there is sort of a mental and emotional trauma going on for our whole country and our community, but definitely for the kids of essential workers. They hear what's going on, and their mom or dad is out there providing service, and they don't know what's happening. So when they come to the club, our goal is to make them feel safe, you know, ensure a safe environment for them, and also let them have a few moments to feel like a kid. So they're participating in really great quality programming, whether it's STEM education. We're partnering with some great organizations in town to make sure they're having access to safe activities that they can do with the social distancing. We have incredible technology centers at all of our clubs, so you have the kids able to still provide, you know, that interaction for them, you know, from a technology standpoint, art rooms, social activities. But again, it's the staff that they can talk to and relate to that will make the biggest difference. So we've extended our hours and our operations. So we're open either 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning, depending on the location. And we're serving 2 meals a day. So the kids come in and they get breakfast, and then they start their activities, and then there's lunch and snack in the afternoon. So all different types of activities to really keep them engaged.
What is it like for your staff? I mean, what are some of the challenges that they're having to overcome? Obviously, these kids want probably a sense of normalcy and a sense of closeness and connectedness in a time of social distance. So what are some of those things that your staff is having to overcome right now?
You know, I think it's harder for the staff probably than the kids, because you have a 7 or 8 year old and you see them and they want a hug or they want to throw themselves into your arms. So we've educated them. We've tried to explain what social distancing is and hygiene and safety in an age appropriate way. And that's really what our staff is trained to do year round. So we're really being extra sensitive to what's happening. We've had one of the shifts we've had is, you know, you can only have 10 people in a group. So we have a 1-to-9 ratio, 1 staff to 9 kids. So first of all, it allows them to have really strong interaction with them from a program standpoint, to talk through with them, and they can rotate through the clubs while other staff is cleaning. And it's really changed, and it's given our staff some time to have some really deeper conversations and opportunities to help these kids. And I'll just add, as you know, once they announced school was closing the rest of the year, the other huge benefit with our staff right now is they are there to help these kids get through their curriculum, their academic curriculum. So imagine you are a healthcare worker, you're coming home at night and you're trying to get your 8 or 10 or 12-year-old to do all of their school assignments. It is almost impossible, and truthfully, it's not fair. It's not fair to our healthcare workers. So we work with the parents, we work with the school district, and we will help them get through their learning packet or their online curriculum in the club, so when they go home, they don't have to deal with that.
Oh, they must be unbelievably grateful for that. And the kids are still getting that connection with an adult that they need while their parents are out doing a job that the rest of us need them to do. So these parents have so much pressure on them from so many different areas, and you guys are really easing that. So that's amazing. Now, I do understand, I saw that the governor announced some funding directly for the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley, making sure that you guys can take care of the kids of essential workers. Tell me a little bit about that funding. And when is it going to run out? Schools are closed, so are you going to need more?
Yeah, so I will say we definitely need more now, and we'll continue to need more. So really, thanks to the governor's office, they were able to give us funding to help offset some of the costs. But to be honest, to run these expanded operations, because again, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., that is not our normal hours. We have to staff a 1-to-9 ratio. So you have a very heavy staff load. You have extra cleaning supplies, janitorial supplies, and 2 meals and a snack a day. So just bare bones, we're looking at our run at about $250,000 a week. So the governor's office is giving us about $155,000 a week, which is still a big chunk that we have to make up to cover our operations at this level. So we're out there fundraising. We've had some great support from the community, the philanthropic community. We talked a little bit about the Thunderbirds. The Arizona Diamondbacks have stepped up. I mean, just really incredible organizations that have come through to make a huge, huge difference for us.
Well, and a lot of us have wondered, what can we do to make a difference right now for an essential worker? Because we want to thank them. I can't really think of a better way than donating to your organization and making sure that their children have a safe place to go and have someone helping them with their homework. I mean, that's just amazing. So anyone who does want to support the Boys and Girls Club, what is the best way for us to do that? Just go online?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go online to bgcaz.org, which is our website. You can give there. And truthfully, we need financial support, but we also need some in-kind support. We are always happy to take donations of, cleaning supplies and wipes, and also snacks. But they have to be individually wrapped snacks for kids that we can give out at the clubs. These kids eat a lot. Kids eating all day. And what we're also really grateful for are donations of lunch for our staff. So we have an incredible staff and I would say they are on the front line as well. They're going home to their families, and they have the same angst and stress and the exposure that some of our healthcare employees have. And honestly, they're there for the kids, and they love doing this. So anytime we can help our staff with meals and lunch and snacks, we appreciate that as well.
We talked a little bit about that smaller group setting and your team being able to have these kind of deeper conversations with these kids. And I mean, really, what a good time for that. It's so necessary right now. How do you think this pandemic and the way that everyone's had to adjust on the fly, and really what these kids are going through right now, how do you think it will change the future of education and the way that kids interact?
I think it's going to have a dramatic effect on the future. We're not going to be able to go back to the way it was. I think we're going to have to look at what is the new way moving forward. where is technology an asset and a help, and where were the gaps even in online learning? And some of it is really that human interaction, that explanation for kids who really need to make a contact with a human, an adult, and to have things explained to them. So I think education in general, and particularly with math, we've seen a lot of math go online, and I can say you can do all the practice examples that you want, but you have to have someone really explaining to you what that means in a practical way. And kids who are in first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, they're not going to learn those kind of things by computer. They really need the hands-on experiment. So when you come in the clubs, hand washing, even to, elementary school kids. So you do a very simple science experiment. You put a tub of water and you put some, dish soap on their hands, and then you put it in the water to see what happens. And then you put some pepper in the water and you see what happens. So you're doing very tactical learning, and kids go, oh, so if I put the soap on my hands first, the pepper won't stick to my fingers. Yes, and that's a germ. So it sounds very simple, but you could talk about germs all you want, but once a child experiences that hands-on, it's a game changer. And, we have prizes in every club. We have hand washing prizes. They get stickers, just like we say, I voted. It said, I washed my hands. And they love it. They're so proud of the fact that they're doing all these great practices, and learning how to be safe. So.
I think some adults could use that pepper.
The pepper experiment, yes. I went home and did it with my kids. It was they were like, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me.
That's pretty eye-opening when you realize how terrible most people are and have been watching her.
And I did want to share also, we talk a lot about little kids, but I also think there's a pretty big impact that's happening with our tweens and teens right now. And part of it is, everything's online, technical, and they have their devices. But the reality is that a very big population in our community does not have access to technology and Wi-Fi. And, I've shared this story before because it really changed the work that we were doing in the clubs. It was probably it was about the third week, of March. And I went down to one of the clubs, and there were 3 kids pressed against the wall of one of the clubs. They were older, they were middle school kids, and they had one laptop between the 3 of them. And I said, what are you guys doing? And they said, well, we have homework, but none of us have Wi-Fi, and we have to get our assignments done. So these were kids who could stay home, they didn't need, childcare, but what they really needed was help and access to technology. And I said, well, get up, we have teen centers in all of our buildings. So I took them in through the teen center. I put them each on their own computer terminal. They had Wi-Fi access. They could each submit their assignment. But then, of course, these are the kids we serve, and they said, oh, is that food out there? Do I see food going on in the class? I said, yes, let's get you some food. And we were able to give them lunch and get them set on their homework. So once school closed, we also started to partner with school districts to say, if you have kids who are really struggling and don't have access, it's not just the device. You can give out all the devices you want, but if you don't have access to Wi-Fi, how are you going to get your work done and look things up? So our centers are there as well to help some of the older kids access technology and get the gap learning. But I think we're going to see a huge gap in learning come the fall when these kids try to get back to school.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And I'm just so glad that so many different organizations, yours especially, really to see them stepping up and trying to fill the void as much as possible. I mean, I saw a report today that said, all kids might need to be held back a grade at this point. And when you hear that, it's really startling to think about the impact that this is going to have because of the amount of time that they're going to be out of school and just the mental strain on parents right now to try to keep up with everything. So what you're doing is really important. I know that you guys have been working closely with Banner Health too, to make sure that their children, while their parents are at work, in really the scariest capacity that anyone could be working in right now, on the front lines, in the hospital, potentially exposed to patients. It's got to be a really hard time for those families. And Banner has really tried to help out those parents, right?
So I will say, as an employer, they have been incredible, really wanting to make sure that their employees had access to childcare should they need it. They don't want costs to be an issue where they are covering the cost for any of their Banner Health employees to access the clubs, which is very generous of them. But it's the right thing to do. They don't even look at it as it being something generous. And I have to say, they were the first employer to step up and really say, we're going to do this for any Banner employer, any Banner employee. And all they have to do is come into the club and show their Banner ID card, and we will take care of their children for them.
That is awesome. It's really just one more thing that they would have to worry about otherwise. So it's great to hear that. Marcia, is there anything else that you want to make sure we share and get everyone aware of?
Yeah, I think, it's really to understand that we need everybody's support right now to make sure we can operate in this current environment. It's no longer a sprint, it's a marathon now, and we have to pace ourselves. This is going to go on through at least the end of May. Could be longer, in June. And it takes resources to provide this kind of care. We are required to do it. Our mission demands that we be there. And I think this community needs to really step up and really help the children of our essential employees. They're making sure we're there. You don't want your respiratory therapist to not be there because she doesn't have anyone to watch her kids at home. So we take care of their children and they take care of us. So I'm really encouraging the community to step forward, help us out so we can be there to serve other people's children as well.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. Marcia, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you and all of your staff and everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And the staff is the best. They're my heroes as well. So thank you.
Awesome. We'll catch you next time here on Leading in the Moment.
Great. Stay safe.